shortly going to be off to conduct a funeral, and at the moment funerals are a very strange thing indeed. One of the funerals that I'm going to conduct today would normally have had several hundred people attending, and unfortunately it's only going to be just a handful of people in the chapel. And this is the situation lots and lots of people are in at the moment. Either they can't have a funeral at all, depending on where they're living, or they are unable to go to a funeral because of the fact that they are self-isolating themselves, or because there is a big restriction on numbers and perhaps they fall outside of the immediate family sort of remit. So I've been thinking about ways that people can celebrate a loved one's life and say goodbye meaningfully without being at a funeral. Now, the number one thing that you can do is to conduct a funeral through Zoom, or to even webcast it from, for example, a funeral director's chapel, things like that. That's a possibility. If you do something through Zoom, then you have the opportunity to be able to interact with each other, so somebody can read a poem or a tribute, there can be a slideshow, that sort of thing. So that does give quite a good option. It also gives you an option to have a sort of virtual wake at the end and chat to each other as well. However, if you're not able to do that, or if your loved one is somebody who is having a funeral but you can't be there, then you might want to consider some other things that you can do instead. These can be really super simple. So you can decide with a group of friends and loved ones that you're going to, for example, light a candle and play your loved one's favourite song at a certain time of the day, and you're all going to do it together, and you're going to think of them, and you're going to it's really about carving out that time for that person, and not just thinking about, well, obviously you're going to be thinking about them all day anyway, but having a moment that you know that you're connected with other people doing the same thing. Maybe if it is just you, you could do something like create a sort of a collage of that person, photographs of your favourite pictures of them. You could even make it into a little shrine with little objects and candles and things like that make you think of them. And then just spend time sitting there and thinking about them and doing something really positive like that. If you are creative, you can do all sorts of things, of course. So you can make a video, you can make a collage, you can knit a jumper in their favourite colour. You can do a lot of things, and doing something mindfully, really sort of thinking about them as you're doing it, really helps that kind of creative process and really imbues that thing that you've created with the essence of them. And if you are from a creative set of friends and family, then maybe you could even collate all of the things that you've put together into some kind of book or some kind of photographic record of that person. Now, some people have been lining the streets. Obviously, we have to do that in a way that's social distancing from each other. But if somebody lives in a certain street, it's possible, if you can't all get to the funeral, which generally you can't, that everybody maybe that knew that person in their street stands outside the door and gives them a clap as the hearse goes through, for example. That might be a thing that you could talk about with a funeral director who is sorting out your loved one's funeral. Other than that, it's just about being creative, but it is about being kind to yourself. There certainly will be time to have memorials and things later on in the year, and when we finally get out of this lockdown, we will be able to get together, we'll be able to mourn together, we'll be able to hug each other. But in the meantime, you can do things together, connect with each other, even if it's a simple phone call. Call the people that you love and who loved your shared loved one, and talk about them. Use their name, just talk about their favourite memories and things like that, and maybe write to them as well. That's the other thing. Write to the loved ones who are around still, but also write to the loved one who you have no longer got with you. Write to them, and again, that's something that maybe you can put together into a book or something if it feels right later on. There are things that you can do in order to mourn together and to grieve together and to comfort each other in this time, even though we can't be physically together. So I'm thinking of you, really I am. This is an incredibly, incredibly difficult time to lose anyone. It's always difficult to lose somebody, but especially in this time of the coronavirus. So I'm thinking of you, and if I can help in any way with any suggestions, with a Zoom funeral, anything like that, please give me a call. Take care.